You asking some soul searching questions now, Doc. Hold on. Now. This wasn't supposed to be red table. This wasn't supposed to be red table. Dang, you done got Jada Pinkett on me.
Hey.
Really got on Rex, ain't playing around. When I go get it, stop playing around. Really got on Rex, ain't playing around. Black man, white coat, shit, we up right now, yeah. You gotta set you a goal. You gotta accomplish your.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen in the field of medicine so far?
Craziest thing I've seen would probably be a trauma thoracotomy. That was the moment I was like, oh, this is real. Like, okay, got you.
Tell me about it. What happened?
It was a patient that came in for multiple gunshot wounds, and me as a medical student, I'm just trying to be as helpful as I can on my trauma rotation, and they end up like cracking his chest open and literally like pumping his heart for him and asked me if I wanted to help. I was like, do I? Me? I guess. So I get the pumping. I could only do it for like maybe 5 seconds before I got too squeamish. Like I'm crazy enough to enjoy trauma, but not to the degree where I want to be that involved. I'm like, okay, this is cool, but okay, y'all got it. But that's probably the absolute craziest thing. Yeah, I got a.
That's dope though. So you got to grab the heart and do all that.
Yes, I got to grab the heart and actually do it. I was like, oh wow, okay, this is medicine. Got you.
Let's go. All right, what is up, fam? It's Dr. Dale. This is the Black Men in White Coats podcast, man. Super excited about my guest today, man. He might be the funniest med student ever, right? I know he got his own name, the Chalk Doc, but man, you might need to get like funniest med. Not you're about to be not a med student, funniest doctor ever, right? You have to come up with a new handle soon enough. But it's Black Men in White Coats podcast. Hey, you know what? The past few episodes, I haven't been like promoting my own stuff. So y'all, I got to remind y'all, I got a bunch of stuff on Amazon. I've written 13 books. Go check them out. And what happened was I just put out the audiobook for my most recent book, Diverse Medicine. And I forgot how good it was, man. I'm like, hey, I'm going to toot my own horn. The book is good. And my brother listened. My brother was like, man, this is good. I just forgot how good it was because I wrote it and I haven't really gone back to it. And I was just listening to it. I was like, oh, man, this is it. Legit, those should be like required reading. Seriously, for all healthcare professionals, should be required reading. So you guys go check it out. The audiobook is now available. It's called Diverse Medicine. All right. Other announcement, always remember our documentary, Black Men in White Coats documentary. If you haven't seen it, right now, at the time of this recording, it's free. It's available. Go check it out. Members.bmwcevents.com. Members.bmwcevents.com. Create your account. It's got some resources in there. Check it out. Enjoy the documentary. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment. All right. So let's get into today's episode, man. I'm not gonna do like a full long intro because obviously that's the point of the show. We're gonna talk to him here. But right now we've got student Dr. Norman Harris II. Now, student doctor for now, but he's about to be just doctor. We're about to drop the student.
Okay,
yeah, and I'll tell you, man. Like I spent before this episode, I just spent probably a good amount of time just watching your Instagram. And I'm sitting here just feeling foolish. I'm just rolling. I'm over here by myself, and I try not to get on social. I'm on social, right? But I try not to get consumed in it. But you got the type of page that somebody can get consumed in. Just like it's like watching just a comedy channel, right? I'm just sitting here just rolling. Oh, gotta go to the next one. So you guys make sure you check them out, man. It's at the Chalk Doc, like chocolate, right? The Chalk Doc.
Yeah.
And check them out. We're gonna talk about some of that stuff in this episode, man. But hey, welcome to the show, man. How you feeling?
I'm good. I appreciate you. Like I told you, I'm on M4 vacation, but had to take time out and talk to the GOAT real quick. So let's get it.
Shoot, where to go? I'm trying to talk to the GOAT too. You gonna show me where to go at, man? Show me. So I was gonna say, like, where at? Vacation. What you doing for your vacation?
I just left actually doing like a speaking engagement for HOSA in Arizona. Arizona HOSA invited me out to be like the keynote speaker. And when I came out there, I realized, okay, where can I go in the area to turn this into a trip? I'm like, oh, Vegas is a 6-hour ride. Got you. So I'm in Vegas now, like just ready to have a good time. This is the end of M4 year, so about to have a good time.
Man, first of all, kudos to you, man. Congrats, because
thank you.
I know the journey, I know the feeling that you're having right now, and I'm gonna tell you now, enjoy this vacation because once that intern year starts, it's over.
Yes, I've heard. I'm leading into it.
It's a good time, man.
They sent an email to put in like leave requests. I was like, after request time, I was like, oh, this is already getting gross. It's already like, 3 weeks. What? I'm like, I guess okay, but here we go.
Oh yeah,
here we go.
It's about to turn real. So man, look, you've got a lot of stuff that we can talk about. And I mean, interesting journey. And like, I kind of want to skip ahead to just some of the stuff that I think is super cool, but let's not do that. Let's be patient. Let's do this the right way. Let's develop.
Okay.
Let's grow through it. So, man, kind of off the bat, you're a funny dude, man. You're just a hilarious dude. I need to know, what kind of kid were you? Were you the class clown growing up?
I absolutely was. I absolutely was. But I'm gonna tell you, the way that I got one up on all of my teachers, I was the class clown, but I always had my work done. They could not say a word. Like elementary and middle school, like it's not appreciated as much. Like it doesn't outweigh it as much. But I think when I got to high school, I always had something to say, but because I was always like on top of everything, it was some classes where like I was almost like a TA, like helping other students like make sure they were good. So they just kind of had to let me just rock because he getting it done. What can you say? So yeah, I was definitely that kid. And from my mom's stories, like definitely rambunctious, full of energy, running around. I hear the stories all the time. Like what you see online is definitely like me. Like yeah, 100%. 100%.
Was funniest thing you did that you can remember when you were like a kid, elementary through high school? Funniest thing you did at school?
Well, my mom just told me a story the other day. Like as a kid, I don't even remember. I think we had stopped to get something to eat somewhere, and I just took off running from her and like ran into the middle of like a super busy street, like cars coming, honking, swerving, everything. I'm just running and laughing. They had to literally like run out in the street and like tackle me to get me like to have me not be deceased. I'm like, what was I doing, bro? But stuff like that, I was that kid. I was that kid. Yeah.
Did she give you any context as to why you did it? Like, were you?
No, I don't even remember it. But it just randomly came back to her memory. She was talking to one of her friends the other day. She was like, "Oh, do you remember this?" I was like, "No," but copy and paste that story like plenty of other times, and that's literally my childhood. Like just random stuff like that. Honestly.
Golly, man, kids be doing some random stuff. And I look at my kids sometimes too, like, what y'all doing? So, sports, right? A lot of this Black Men in White Coats, and obviously the audience, people that we appeal to, a lot of them were into sports at some point growing up. Was that you also? Was sports kind of big in your childhood? And if so, what did it do for your development to become who you are today?
Yeah, I think I wasn't as involved in like the like formal sports in school. Most of the sports that I was involved in had some kind of like performance aspect to it. So during like elementary, middle school, high school, I was actually I did like martial arts, and during that time it went from being like a hobby to actually being like taken serious to when I started doing like the circus and traveling around and being on like the competitive team. And I actually made it to like the nationals and actually placed at the nationals, but I placed the year before they formed like a karate like Olympic team. So of course I missed out on being like actually like celebrated for it. I got my little medal and went back to the house. Then the next year, everybody on TV doing karate. I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Getting free paid trips and stuff like that.
Exactly. So that I think, especially for character development, having me like I said, being rambunctious and being forced to like kind of like have that self-control and that discipline to like get all the way through that process. I'm a third-degree black belt now, and I've since like stopped doing it because my instructor actually passed away. But if I had the opportunity, I'm actually looking for avenues now to like kind of get back into it in some kind of different degree, like an MMA maybe type of situation. But I think that was really like formative in my life.
You said you want to get into MMA?
I want to try it. I feel like I got a little background. Like I don't know. I might surprise myself. We'll see.
I'm watching this show. I don't know if you've seen this Physical 100 on Netflix.
Yes,
Physical 100.
No, I love that show. Yeah, I love it.
So watching it right now, I just noticed, season 2 right now. I just noticed that they've got one of the guys on there was a medical doctor. So I saw that. I was like, you got a medical doctor on the show? I'm like, hey,
that's actually it. Yeah.
Yeah, you might be NH3, NH2. I mean, we come up with a nickname for you, NH2 at USC. But that's wild though. I mean, you would really consider doing that?
I think I would. I know as far as like clinical like responsibilities and stuff, it'll probably be confined to being like some sort of like hobby. But I'm looking for ways to get back into that because I definitely enjoyed like the like soft skills that came out of being in like that kind of environment. So it was cool. Soft skills, beating people up. Soft skills. Using your resume words, before you got resume words now.
Yeah. So that's really interesting to me, right? So try to mix up the class clown with a third degree black belt. That just seems like a recipe for disaster, chaos, right? Cracking jokes on people. Now, were you a class clown? Were you just randomly funny? Did you crack on people too?
I was actually like randomly funny, like accidentally funny. Okay. But sometimes I would get into that, but not too much. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a type where, if I don't know, I think I was one of those people that like had to discover that I actually was funny because it was so unintentional. And then once I leaned into it and I realized, I was like, okay, I'm cool. So yeah, I didn't really need as like the help of other people to be funny because it's just like spewed out accidentally, kind of like.
It's natural who you are. Yeah, because I was gonna say, man, you situation where you crack on people, somebody doesn't find it funny, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, you better hold up, B.
Now we gotta fall back. Look, all right.
And so tell me, what does third degree black belt mean? Like, how many degrees? Like, how does I hear about it all the time, but I don't understand the degrees in martial arts.
Yeah, it goes all the way up to, I want to say 9th or 10th degree, but you do all of your training, and most people's like goal was just martial arts in general, just to get to a black belt and say like, okay, yeah, I did it, I'm done. But then going through like degrees of a black belt, it's just like furthering your like maturity and understanding of what it means to like have that power, and also makes you a better like instructor too. So the higher degrees of black belts can start to like have their own schools and have their own like people under them. So I guess that's kind of the difference. But second degree, 9th degree, 10th degree, I wouldn't mess with none of them, honestly, because look, results may vary. I'm saying. I'm saying.
Disclaimers. I mean, I don't get the why. Did they like run out of colors or something? Why didn't it just go to another color? Why they got 7 degrees? They use cyan.
We would have to ask the
teal,
the grandmaster gods. I don't know, but yeah, they ran out of colors. I think the way I read about it is like the colors are supposed to represent like you absorbing more like understanding. So you start off as a white belt with like no color. You go yellows. Some systems got different like orders: yellow, green, blue, purple, brown, red, black. And when the time you get to a black belt, you absorb so much like knowledge and wisdom that you like a black belt. But you don't get a darker black. So it's just like, okay, you here. It's just like black, I guess. Like black to the 10th degree. Cool. I'm like, okay.
Blurple.
Right.
I got you. All right. So class clown, funny kid type of thing. You mentioned you still did well academically. So how did you do academically? Was it just coming to you, or did you already know how to study from a young age? Did you have older siblings you modeled yourself after?
I don't know. I think it was a mixture of both. I think it began to come to me naturally because of like the foundation that I had. Like my mom is like one of those like old school like super moms that's not about to let you go to school and like not be on top of everything. Like I have like vivid memories of like her, like me being in her bed, like mad because I couldn't get like my multiplication facts together, or mad because I couldn't like spell this certain word. Like she was very big on like implementing that stuff like at home. So when I got that framework and kind of that foundation for it, when it transferred to school, a lot of this stuff I had kind of already like learned in advance. So learning stuff the first time just kind of made it easier when it came back around for like review and stuff. And I did go to good schools as well, but I think that foundation that she set has served me more, and I can appreciate that now more as an adult.
I love that, man. I mean, so for any parents listening, like that's one of the biggest things. If even sometimes, like as a parent now, I do stuff and I think like, man, my kids aren't getting it. They're not getting it, but we don't realize what they are getting, right?
Yeah.
You might be saying like they're not getting the whole thing, but they're getting something. And then like in your case, for example, you were getting a foundation. You're thinking you're just doing multiplication, but it wasn't just multiplication. You were building a foundation of education that stays with you, right?
Yeah. And teaching you just the skill of like sticking to something that's initially difficult. Like I say, like the soft skills of like having to like struggle through something. I think it's something that kind of like stuck with me super early and has kind of like come up more times in the future.
Do you have siblings or no?
I have one brother.
Older, younger?
Older brother. He is actually like a audio engineering producer in Nashville. He's like working on breaking into the industry and kind of infiltrating from that like standpoint. So we have like very different lives. It's similar people, but just very different like routes that we took.
different routes, but hey, we're gonna get into this here in a second. Not quite yet, but I know you went into entertainment first too.
That's why I said the routes weren't that different at first, but yeah, we kind of split along the way. Yeah,
all right, we gonna get to that here in a second. So then, and I know, so you're impressive again. You're a Fulbright scholar, right? I get that too. Fulbright would have come after undergrad, correct?
yes.
All right, so tell me what led, whenever you were making decisions, where did you go to college and how did you make the decision to go to that specific college?
It's actually crazy. One of my like best friends on earth now, I'm still locked in with her to this day. I got like two main best friends from high school. I had applied to, you could not convince me to go to a HBCU. I was that problematic person. I'm like, okay, I'm not going. It was like, most of the people in Tennessee, like I said, I'm from Memphis originally. So a lot of people in Tennessee are either going to like University of Memphis or like Tennessee State or maybe like UTK, like UT Knoxville. It was just it wasn't as much of a like practice to leave the state unless you were going somewhere that was like still generally in the South. To like pick up your whole life and go all the way to Howard was like not a thing. So I think I was the only person in my class to go that far. Most people like stayed local or just went straight to work. So I didn't even have anybody to like kind of model that. When I was making my list, I was considering like Vanderbilt. I considered Morehouse out of somebody just telling me I should consider HBCU. So I just went and like took tours. And I remember Howard was one of the last schools that I applied to. I was in the back of my calculus class, and this friend that I just spoke of told me like, "Wait, you telling me like Howard like not on your list? Like you can't like not apply to Howard. Like we're gonna do it right now. And when you take a tour, you'll understand like why you're doing it." And I just filled out the application because she told me to. And I went on the tour. I was like, oh, okay, like yeah, this is it. So I haven't looked back.
Where did she go? Where did she go to school at?
Oh, she went to MTSU. She went to Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah,
and she was big on making sure that I knew, because she knew other people from Memphis that had gone to Howard in the past, and was like, you fit like the bit, like you move like a Howard person, like you have to do this. I was like, oh, I guess, okay, cool, but yeah, it just ended up working out.
Importance of having good friends who know you. I didn't realize you were I didn't realize you're from Memphis. I'm actually in a few hours. I'm about to get on a plane and fly to Memphis. We're doing a Black Men and White Coats Summit in Memphis tomorrow.
What?
Yeah, so I'll be there.
And I'm over here on vacation. I should have been with you.
This is actually the. Do you say in the hood? I ain't going to the hood now. I ain't go to no hood in no city you're not from, man. I ain't go to no hood in no city I'm not from, right? Tell you that straight up right now. Nah, I'm not the one, man. I'm not the one. I don't get a pass like that. You know, I know some of these athletes, some of these big time folks, you can go to any hood, you get a pass. They ain't giving out the Dale pass yet. Not yet. But and you know, I'm gonna shout out Baptist as a Baptist healthcare system. I'm gonna shout them out because they were actually our very first ever Black Men and White Coats Youth Summit 6 years ago. So this is the 6th year for Black Men and White Coats in Memphis. The first one, the first summit we actually did. Black Men and White Coats started way before that, but that was the first actual physical summit. And now we have, we've had countless summits, right? We're doing 20 plus a year across the whole country. But I'll be in Memphis tomorrow, man. So I'll shout out to the homies for you.
I'm tapping in when you spin back. I can't miss that. Like that's and I'm big on doing that kind of like giving back too. So yeah, that's good to know.
Oh man, you flew all the way to Arizona to host it when it was right there in your neighborhood.
I'm playing games.
So good. So all right, so I like this. So you end up choosing the HBCU. And this is a question that I get, quite a bit, right, from high school kids. Like, should I go to HBCU? Should I not go to HBCU? Trying to make that first decision, right? Then after you make that first decision, then you decide which one do you go to, whether it's HBCU or not. I did not go to HBCU. I went to Xavier in New Orleans for a summer. And I don't know how many episodes I've said this on, but I so wanted to go to Xavier for a summer, but the money thing didn't work out right. So I ended up going with who gave me more money. University of Missouri paid for my school, so I ended up going with the money, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But so tell the listeners, especially, and this one is for the high school kids in this position right now. Tell them what is it really like at an HBCU? What were the good things? Maybe what were the not so good things? Like, just give them the true honest stuff for a kid who's actually trying to figure it out right now.
Okay. I believe like going to HBCU set me up to be in the spaces that I'm in now and be like absolutely confident in like my contribution and who I am before I like had to infiltrate a space that didn't resemble that. And I think the HBCUs do it in such like a intentional way, and they don't even really have to try hard, because you already in a space with like-minded people that's kind of already on what you own. But then having like classes that are set up to like teach you to like help to like re-educate you on like Black history, having friends that are like-minded and having like these like conversations, like it's so much of that experience that just sticks with me on so many fronts. And then like the activities at Howard, I was involved in the campus royal court. I was a stepper for my dorm. I ended up coaching for like all the years until I graduated. Like the student led, like student leadership push and like in like all Black institutions, I think it's like a different. Not to say that the PWIs don't do it, but when something is actually like student led and like these HBCUs, it's actually like done by them. And I don't think I was familiar with that. Just seeing people that look like me and also come from like the diverse like standpoint that I come from, being able to like do and accomplish like similar things was just like not as common for me, especially being from Memphis. So it was refreshing to get around people that know how to have a good time, know how to lock in, know how to like turn it on and turn it off, and see them even now like achieve their dreams and everything that they said they wanted to do. So for me, that ecosystem was like perfect for me. But I think it is a individual kind of choice. Some people that don't go because they think they may not be able to stay focused, or they think the opportunities may not be as good. I beg to differ. I think that just the camaraderie that you get from being in the circles of people that are doing similar things just opened me up to so many different opportunities. I ended up at Howard because of a different person that told me to apply. I did Fulbright because of a person at Howard that like forced me to apply. My roommate made me apply to Fulbright. I didn't think I would get it. He was like, no, we're going to go down to the office and do it right now. Like in that support structure of people that see you for you and like, no, do this, do this, do this. Every summer program I ever did was from a recommendation from another friend, like just being tapped into the circle, like just being around all that love. I think just, it made a difference for me.
Love it, love it. What was the most difficult thing you dealt with while at Howard? Other than organic chemistry, because everybody, I don't know how you did organic chemistry, but everybody want to talk about organic chemistry. We're going to skip organic on this one.
What was the most difficult thing? I think the most difficult thing for me was taking on too much. I think, like I said, everything there is actually student led, like top to bottom. So I'm just a likable person. So when I get into like these spaces and people are looking for like a person to transfer leadership to, it always falls on me. Well, of course, Norman to do it because everybody like Norman. They'll do what he say, and that ended up being like copy pasted for like 3 or 4 different organizations. Now I know I'm like the president of like half the stuff on campus. I'm like, all right, hold on, like wait. But even in those tough years, I think it just stretched me to see how much I could actually contribute if I took the time to stay organized. So those are some of the most like taxing times while I was at Howard. But I think I learned a lot about myself and what I could contribute to my community by being stretched at the end.
All right, so being stretched that thin, how did that impact your academics?
My academics like stayed intact. I was still okay from an academic standpoint, but it just took a lot of it took a lot of intentional like organization. Like it got to a point where I had like every like minute of every day kind of like planned out. Like I know like I gotta go to step practice tonight at like 7. I may not get done until like 12 or whatever, 11 or 12. I need to make sure like between any time I go to class at this time, I call mom at this time, I eat at this time, I do the homework this time, and everything just like ran like clockwork. And I would like make a list like that for every day and make sure I stayed on top of everything. That's what got me through it.
Did you, I know you said you did step. Did you pledge also or no?
I didn't pledge. But I stepped all 4 years.
Nice. What, let's say, sure, what advice, like just one quick thing and we'll keep moving, but advice would you give to a pre-med student considering your time and how would a pre-med student like yourself, who's very engaged, very busy, because I was similar to that. Like, so what advice would you give to that pre-med student, like the one who knows what's going on, who's leading stuff?
Yeah, I actually just gave the same advice at this hosted conference. My entire presentation was on like really like just having like the courage to like forge your own path and take a like atypical approach to medicine, to pursuing medicine, because it really, I think, in the end, just makes you a more diverse and more like interesting candidate. Like, I didn't do things that necessarily like cookie cutter way. I was never the president of the pre-med club. I didn't have like a list of publications, none of that. But my GPA was strong. I like made sure I handled business during the summers, and the experiences that I did get demonstrated the same skills, but just in like a different way. And I think if we can get away from like trying to stick to this like very defined, this is right, this is wrong way of doing like the pre-medical path, we'll get a lot more like diversity in the applicants. And I think it'll make your journey even smoother, especially sitting on this side and seeing like just how much applicants can look the same. Like you got the bio pre-med major, like president of pre-med club, and repeat and repeat and repeat. Oh, a snap! Yeah. Oh, snap! Roy Court. Oh, snap! Like, it's refreshing to see somebody doing something different. So as long as you can spin it and make it work for you and show how the skills that you get through that can like relate to medicine, you can literally do anything. And I think that's something that should be like encouraged more.
Yeah, I'd say it's the same thing. So I review med student applications. Cool, going into residency, same thing, man. After a while, I was like, seen it. Let's rewind real fast. Tell me the story about when you decided you wanted to be a medical doctor.
I think it's been one of those things that's kind of always been around. I was a super sick kid, like bad asthma and allergies, like in and out of the hospital, like constantly. I like some of my like fondest like memories of childhood are like in the hospital and kind of observing passively. And I'm realizing this like now in hindsight, like passively observing like how the doctors were able to like use the art of medicine to kind of put patients at ease, and like really thinking in my head, like I could do that. Like I could never do that. I wanted to be a doctor before I even knew what it entailed, just from what I had observed good doctors do. And that's kind of how it started. I did have, like I said, the acting thing that kind of like competed with it for a minute, but I kind of always knew that it was something that I could do just from observing other people do it well.
Awesome. That speaks to the idea of just having role models and just seeing things around you. Were you seeing black doctors?
Yeah. Not as much inpatient, but my pediatrician was a black woman, and I didn't realize how like rare that was until like now. Like headed into that space and realizing like, oh, like you what? Like having that kind of like role modeling at that stage, I think is just so big. I even have memories. I used to have to get like, is it weekly or monthly allergy shots? And I would have to go in, and she knew that I wanted to be a doctor, and she would let me basically like run my whole visit. Like I came in, I would like check myself in, go to the back, take my temperature, like write down my vitals and stuff, weigh myself, write down my vitals, and literally like get the stuff ready. And all she would do was like stick me and like send me home. And I'm realizing now like the impact of like just small stuff like that. I'm like, that's what this like community like orientation like really means, and the impact you can have. So that's kind of like my angle in even pursuing medicine, making sure that I'm having those kinds of experiences along the way.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Just not realizing how much she was low key trying to help you on the journey.
Like, okay, you a doctor, okay, let's see what
I tell you, I have I write children's books also. Speaking of which, I need to finish writing one. I haven't put one out in a while, but I need to go ahead and get this one knocked out. I write children's books, and like when I see kids, and I'm an ICU doctor and pulmonologist, so I do adult stuff. I don't take care of kids, but whenever I see little kids, I keep a stack of books in my office. I'll go get one of my children's books and just give it to them, just so you never know, they might just flip through it one day and it might just click something in their mind. So let's shift a little bit into this entertainment stuff. Tell me about that. Let me tell you, like I said, I was going through your Instagram and seeing you just rolling, laughing. A lot of funny ones, man. I'm seeing you just laughing to myself. I really like the ski one you did. You said there. So okay, let me ask you this first. What's going through your mind like when you're making these things? You're just sitting on, you're like, hey, this will be funny. Let me record it real fast. Or are you like planning these out? And, how does that work when you come up with all these hilarious posts?
Yeah, I think me being a person that's coming from like a almost like an entertainment ish background, like I hold myself to a certain like standard with the stuff that I put out. So I don't think I'll ever get. I don't know. I might. I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I'm so pressed for content that I'll just put it out if it's not like at my standard of being like hilarious. Like I really want people to have that effect. Like go through my page and like it not miss. Like you should get a chuckle or a grin out of each one. Like if I don't, my rule is that if I don't make myself laugh, it's not getting out. Like so, I have an idea. Like I see a trend or see a sound that's trending and be like, okay, I can spin this like this way. But sometimes it may take me a minute to like actually like get it like on film just from stuff that's going on, or even when I film it the first time, it may not be at that like standard. Like I'm just super picky about that because once you put it out, like that's it. And if you put it out and notice you could have did it like 20% better, it'll always like bother you because if it doesn't perform like you want, you be like, I should have went back and did like.
So you won't delete it and repost it.
Once it's out, it's out. If it makes it to the point of being on my page, it passed all the like scrutiny of like, okay, check. If I laugh, I'm like, okay, it's cool. And also, I know a lot of people that solicit opinions of other people. Like I usually just use myself as like the measure of like, okay, is this funny? Did I laugh? Okay, cool. It goes out. If not, we'll try again. Like
there's a handful of y'all who just do a superb job, and Iggy, I don't know, Eddie Hackler, let me not get into naming people because there's a good amount, but there's some of y'all who just do like a superb job. And I was wondering, I'm gonna ask Iggy, I'm gonna ask you, I haven't thought about this. What happens when you get, and Robert, he's anesthesiologist, he's got like 1 million followers now. What happens when you get to the point where your social influence status is so high that you don't have to practice medicine, right? It's somebody like you who was into entertainment.
Yeah.
Because the stuff you're putting out, any one post you can make could go viral and take you to 1 million and take you to whatever, blah, 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 where you can make money, right? So what happens if you do get to that situation where it's like, hey, I can make more money and still impacts the world, but through that entertainment, somebody like you who had the love for entertainment early and the love for medicine.
Yeah.
Which route does NH2, as I'm going to call you, which route does NH2 take?
See, you asking some soul searching questions now, Doc. Hold on. This wasn't supposed to be red table. This wasn't supposed to be red table. Dang, you done got Jada Pinkett on there.
Hey, look, take my hat off. You see, ain't no hair up here, bro. Getting this
I wrestle with that a lot. Like, since I have like wrestled with ways that I could merge the two, and what my original like turn off from doing acting and just entertainment in general at first, that I got tired of like taking on like the role and the personality of somebody else. Like words being like stuck in my mouth and like bringing a character to life, but okay, that was funny. Now stop. Let's move the cameras and do it this way. I like that, but actually do it this way. Okay, and roll and do it again and again and again. Take 25, take 26. I'm like, okay, it's old. It's old. But I think what I didn't realize then that I'm realizing now is that I have a lot more like fun with it if I'm infiltrating the field as just myself and just as Norman and as a personality versus as being like somebody else. So I don't know what form that could potentially take, what vlogging, YouTube, reality TV, as long as I can just be me, I think it's something that I could like tolerate and actually enjoy. I think it was the aspect of it of me having to become somebody else, which is honestly, that's the thing that makes like actual actors tick. Like they enjoy the challenge of becoming a new person each time. For me, I just wanted to be me, and it was annoying. I was like, can we stop? Like, can I just talk now? So if I could find a way to like merge those, I think I would consider like kind of like dibbling dabbling back in that direction. I think if the opportunity came up, I don't think there's anything at this point that will make me like abandon clinical medicine. Like I haven't gotten to the point where I'm actually practicing it, so I haven't gotten to like what the 10-year mark of having the fatigue and doing the same thing over and over. So it's easy for me to say that now. But yeah, I think I would dabble with it.
I like that though. Yeah, something for the kids listen to hear is you have this potential to have this great opportunity, and if you keep on posting, this opportunity I believe is going to come to you, right? It just says that's just the way these things work.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You actually the third person this week to actually say that. It's actually crazy. So I'm starting to believe it. I'm like, hold on. No,
I mean, ain't no question about it. And, I'm not the biggest on social media. I don't, it's funny. I think I said this on an episode I recorded recently. Like we started off kind of before all this stuff blew up, right before social media was like big, whatever. And we got out there, and then I was like, oh yeah, I can do this. And I just kind of wax and wane with if I'm posting, not just whatever, just because it's not necessarily my big thing, whatever. Yeah. But we do well via other angles that we've got really good at just over the years of doing it. And what I can tell you is if you're being consistent in what you do out there, if you're being consistent, if you're adding value to people's lives, and you're adding value to people's lives through laughter, I know you believe laughter is the best medicine. Yeah. So if you're adding value to people's lives and with that mechanism, it comes around, right? That's all this thing is. It's like, can I add value to your life? If you're consistently adding value, somebody's gonna pull you aside and say, hey, let's reward that somehow. It's not even rewarding it for the sake of you. It's, hey, you're adding value, keep on adding value, and we're going to find a way to leverage the value that you're adding to people's lives, right? Whether sponsorship, whatever. But that's just the way these things work. So we get messages from people, and that's just the way it works, right? It's like a principle of life. It's a principle of life. You add value to people's lives, you'll be rewarded.
Absolutely.
So how far did you go with the whole acting thing? We just talked about it a little bit, why you don't like it, but excuse me. But how far did you go? Like, when did you actually start shifting there? Was it during your time at Howard you started trying to look for opportunities, or what?
I went all the way up until like graduation from high school. Like when I transitioned to Howard, I kind of like put it on the shelf. But I think
so you were doing this at a young age. You were doing this in high school.
Yeah, I did this like all the way up to like 18, pretty much. Like I think when I called it was when I got to one of my like last gigs, and my mom had always told me I love that like she was not the problematic like acting mom or entertainment mom that was like trying to do it for the support that it brought to like the household or like the money or the pay. She was like, the day you stop having fun, you done. And I got done with that gig. I was like, nah, I think that's it. She was like, what, for real? I'm like, yeah. And I remember it was a gig. I did let me not actually drop what I actually did. Let me. I did a video. I did a video, we'll say. And in the video, I had to, I basically had to be like inside of a amusement park. I was taunting like the main character. I was like the antagonist. I was taunting the main characters, telling them that they were a chicken, like, and didn't want to get on the roller coaster and had to wear like a chicken suit in the middle of the summer in an amusement park. Like, you ain't gonna do it, you ain't gonna do it. So jokes on me, I'm taunting them, but I'm the person that got to be like embarrassed. And I got kids running up to me and people pointing and laughing. I was like, you know what? Do you love it this much, Norman? Do you love it this much? I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that experience in itself showed me that, but it did give me like insight into, like I said, that recognition of like I could have like this same impact, if not more, if I was just like talking. Like, why does it take all this? But like I said, some people that are true actors love that. That's when I knew that's where the split is coming. Maybe this is not my passion, but as long as I thought that was what I wanted to do, like everything was falling in place for me to do that. Like I got to the point where we were starting to have like the Nickelodeon, like Disney conversations. It was getting to that point. It was like move to LA or bus is when it got to that point. And I was like, okay, it's time to actually like just like put the nail in the coffin.
Kudos to you for like realizing that you don't want to be compromised. Essentially, it's kind of what it was. So, have you seen? We're not going to get into this in detail, but you see all this stuff coming out with Nickelodeon now.
Hey, whoo, bullet, God, whoa, what was that? Hey, come on, nah.
Hey,
nah. Won't get weed.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, I don't know, I'm just now. I mean, I've always known that stuff was around, right? You've always known, but then just seeing the documentary thing, my wife started watching it recently, and I'm like, goodness gracious, this is wild, man. All right, so then go through Howard, Fulbright year. I think South Africa is where you did. First of all, tell the listeners and myself really the Fulbright in detail. Tell us kind of what exactly. I mean, I know it's a very prestigious scholarship and things of that sort, but tell us like what is the devices and behind it? What is the mission behind the vision? Like what does Fulbright represent? And tell us briefly about like how you got it, what your time was like in the program.
Fulbright is like I would say it is like one of the like U.S. government's ways of like maintaining foreign relations, like with citizens, like on the ground, sharing and using like aspects of U.S. culture to foster like grassroots relationships in other countries. So you basically have the opportunity to either go to the country of your choice. We have like partnerships with almost every single one. You go to the country of your choice and you decide whether you want to either teach or do research in some capacity. And for me in my country, there was an additional like advantage given to applicants that could provide some kind of like cultural exchange skill with the students as well. So I chose to teach, and like I said, my inspiration for doing it didn't even come from myself. It came from my roommate who would not allow me to not apply for it. Like Howard used to have these, like we've had this like national scholarship like office around for a minute, but you had to have a 3.7 GPA to be invited to the super secret meeting to learn about all these like opportunities and stuff. I had a 3.65. They didn't round me up. I'm like, okay, y'all hate it, but whatever. I didn't go to the meeting. I was like, okay, forget them. They don't want me. I don't want to do it no way. Cool. He came back. He was like, no, this one, you doing it. I'm like, okay, I guess. I went to the office. I'm telling like the director of the Senate, like about my experiences, what I've done at Howard, kind of like my angle values. And she just started smiling and she hands me the Fulbright paper. She's like, I think this is the one for you. I'm like, all right, girl, we'll see. Me doing research is trying to figure out what country I would have the most convincing like narrative for. I realized that in all my time at Howard, I stepped my whole time at Howard, and knowing that Howard was like the birthplace of like stepping in America with the Black Greek letter organizations and all that, I really enjoyed stepping for that reason, for the like historical component to it. What I didn't know is that stepping had roots to like ancient South African forms of dance called gumboot dancing, and I was able to write a convincing narrative to them, basically saying like me being a person that's practicing the modern form of this like art form, going back to the descendants of the people that like originated it, and like having a cultural exchange and giving them a sense of like global identity of what they've been able to accomplish like as a people. In addition to like teaching and doing like
that's a good narrative. You got it with that one. That's a good narrative. You pull that off.
It's hot. You might have did it.
Yeah.
But the way I formed the narrative was me teaching them during the day, having like a English curriculum centered around like African American like culture, and then supplementing that with the STEP team after school. And you can go on my like YouTube and see like my vlogs. It's even like a couple like vlogs on my Instagram. You can tell that this stuff was in their like DNA. I have never seen a group of people like pick up stepping so fast. My Fulbright got canceled. Let's talk about that. The fact that I was supposed to be there for 9 months and it was only there 9 weeks because of COVID. But you would think from the videos I got before I left that they was like stepping like at least 6 months. Like, it's crazy. They were really, really good. And my vision for them, Fulbright, of course, being like we like the precious cargo of the U.S. Like they putting us in these countries, they putting us up well, giving us all the funding and support we need. So as big as you wanted to dream for your like end project or goal for your project to be, they will make it happen. I wanted like radio airtime, like advertising agencies in the community to like have a big like art showcase for my students and try to raise money and donate it back to the school. That was like my vision for like what I would feel like I completed while I was there. And of course it didn't happen because it got canceled. But I have no doubt that had I been there, we would have made it happen. Like definitely. They were doing it so well.
I believe it. What would you say is the best video you've posted on IG?
What's the best
one?
Let
me rephrase it. What's your favorite one that you've posted?
I think following like the kind of OBGYN video that kind of like started everything for me. I posted a video following that up, just like talking about like the real problem. It's the only time I've ever like spoken regularly on my IG and not tried to be comedic and just had like a real like I think it's like 7-minute like conversation about like the problems that we got in medicine with like in terms of like our expectations of how we think patients expect us or want us to behave versus what they actually value. And I think that's probably my favorite video because it just showed me in a different light. And it actually like performed like relatively well because I think people connected with just like the rawness and like regularness of it in contrast to how I usually act on my page. Like, let's stop all the cackling, all the giggles. Let's actually like get serious and talk about it, like this issue. And I think that was a like interesting contrast for people.
Is that the one where you're talking about they were telling you to stop being so funny and things of that sort?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I was told that like my comedic approach to like dealing with patients was unprofessional. Like this is on my like pediatrics rotation. I'm like, if there's any place I'm supposed to play, I got feedback telling me like basically that I was doing too much and that patients don't really value like viewing their provider as like a friend. They want a serious provider that's like serious about their care. I'm like, girl, where you get that from? I'm like, okay. But in the moment, it really like messed me up for a minute because I'm like, dang, I'm coming from a background where what I've done like entertainment. I've been to South Africa, like, and forming these relationships with people that barely speak English, these like long-term relationships. Like, there's one thing I thought I could do was like interact with people at least. And you telling me like I can't do that? I'm like, I'm cooked. I'm cooked. I'm done. I suck. But it took like feedback from other people pouring in me to be like, no, keep going. And I think it was the OB video because it happened 2 weeks after I had that conversation that renewed my faith in like, okay, just be yourself. Like people actually like rock with how you are. So
yeah, man, you gotta be careful. I interviewed Emmanuel McNeely the other day, and he I don't know, we'll put his episode I did before or after this one. I don't know when the episodes will come out, but I interviewed him and he was saying something kind of similar to what you're saying. Feedback he was getting was that he wasn't a good communicator. And he's like, what do you mean I'm not a good communicator? I done been on national TV. I'm a keynote speaker across the country. And I mean, so for students, the residents, the whatever, whoever's listening, just anybody, right? Be careful with the feedback you get. When I get feedback, I always take a moment, think, hey, is this true? Evaluate it, and just try to have an open viewpoint. But you got to be careful not to like just take it immediately for what they say and try to change what you're doing because half the time they don't know, right? The people who are saying half the time, if it's something that's like, I'm not talking about if they tell you like, hey, you weren't supposed to cut that artery, right? That's different.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But if they're gonna start criticizing the way you're interacting with people, be like, hey man, I do this. Like this is what I do. Like I do this, right? You know. Yeah. So that's why. All right. So Howard, HBCU. Then you go to a PWI for med school. Tell me about that decision and, why Temple, and were there any other med schools you considered besides Temple, and what led to the decision ultimately for Temple?
I think it was a no-brainer to go to Temple when I don't think I realized how well Temple set the bar because they were my first interview. I really only applied to Temple based off name recognition. I knew nothing about Philly, had no desire to be in Philly. I thought, okay, I guess. I just knew it was close to DC and it wouldn't be like that rough for transition. But I had a mentor who was originally from Memphis and went to Temple for medical school. So I recognized it off name recognition, just applied. Just
Who's that?
The box.
Who's that mentor?
Dr. Alpha Stewart. I was in like a psychiatry like mentoring program in undergrad when I thought I wanted to do psychiatry. And she was assigned to be my mentor. She was actually the president of the APA at the time. So they started this new like pipeline program for Black males. And to like really like get it off the ground, they used the executive leadership to be the first mentors. So I got like the president of the APA like on speed dial. So we ended up like locking in and being like just building a community just off our backgrounds. But I knew I was going to apply to Temple just based off my interactions with her and how she spoke of it. And I got there for my interview day. I was like, yeah, this is it. I'm one of the people that just like know off of vibes. I did kind of get like swayed from other schools, but I think the central things, just being involved in the community, having a like value and diversity, getting trained and having a reputation for producing like actually like clinically like competent like residents was something that was important to me. And honestly, it's still a good school too. Like I'm not even one to like harp on like ranks and stuff because I had like higher ranked places that didn't like give me the same feeling, but it was the most like balanced institution. Absolutely, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. I came down between them and it was between them, Duke, and Morehouse for my like last decision. And for me be making a HBCU like transition, I was very like candid with them, their Office of Diversity, about okay, this is what I'm used to. Like, what's up? And they sat me down and they told me like straight up, okay, this is what we got to work on, but this is what we doing. Boom, 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 boom. And the fact that they were able to like have that conversation with me and then picture me in my role that I could play in like helping them move things forward, I was like, okay, yeah, this is the place for me.
So what was that transition actually? Like you just alluded to it, but what was it? The HBCU to PWI. What was the difficulty in there, if anything? But I got the sense you were alluding to there was some sort of different cultural thing that you encountered.
I knew that people, just from my interactions at baseline, like interview day, of course you got the bells and whistles on interview day to make everything seem like perfect. But I want to know like what's the like ugly, dark, like underbelly of like what's actually going on here. And will it be comparable to like the love and like receptiveness that I'm used to? And she assured me like that they weren't like absolutely perfect, but the structures were in place to make sure that if anything did come up, it would be dealt with accordingly. And in my time at Temple, I haven't had any like issues directly. It's been like small things that have come up as far as like on a class-wide level, like curriculum type of level that we've addressed. But as far as like somebody just pointing me out and like saying something crazy, like, you know. But those were the types of things that I was kind of like getting at.
If you can go back and change one thing on your journey to date, what would that one thing be?
Journey, like in terms of just pre-medicine altogether.
Yeah.
I don't think I would change anything. I don't think I would. I was gonna say maybe like dabbling in the more like typical like pre-medical things, but I think like all the things that I did that were like quote unquote wrong, like set me up to be like where I'm at. So I'm very content with the way that my path is going, especially because it's like providing me spaces and a platform to even like be here. Like everything about my atypical background is really like set me up for success. So
let me ask you this. So we'll start winding down now because every episode I say this, I try to keep it to a certain time, but I always go over at the time limit. Whatever, it's cool. I'm enjoying this. I'm gonna keep on talking. I got the mic, so I can keep on talking.
It's my show.
Exactly. Your hair, right? You wear the long. I don't know if it's a twist or what, but you got the long hair. How was that viewed as a black man comes in with that hair in school? It's probably different now than it was when I was coming through school. But I remember one of my best friends. We started medical school, and he had the man, it's probably just braids. I don't think people were twisting like that back in the day, but you know, the braids. And I remember one of the deans told him that he was going to have his hair cut before he graduated med school. I mean, he's not saying like I'm going to cut your hair, but it's more like pretty much. He's pretty much saying like, hey, everybody starts off this way, but everybody eventually conforms to the look of medicine, yada yada yada. That's what they told him. Nowadays, though, I see tons of people with their hair like that, but still, how are you viewed? What thoughts go through your head? Do you think people view you a certain way? I know some of them do because I saw your video about the med student, the white coat, and then be like, "You're the med student." So tell us about that.
I think I actually had a lot of reservations going into medical school, and I think that I weeded out a lot of problematic programs on the front end because when I graduated Howard, I had an afro, and I was getting my hair like twisted. I came from a very like traditional Southern like black household where you gonna have this even all over. You're not growing your hair. Who you think you are? You think you grown? Like no. Most you get is a bald fade, even all over. So when I had like the liberty to grow my hair out, like I leaned into it. But getting to that point where it was time to like actually transition into like professional school, I kind of had those conversations with myself. I'm like, is this something that I want to do? At the point I was getting my hair like twisted, like over and over. Every time it got fuzzy, like take it out, get it retwisted. I was spending more money on like going to like get my hair professionally like done than I would have been doing on like a retwist. And I knew I wanted to lock my hair. I'm like, it's financially and also just like smarter to just go ahead and just lock my hair. But I made that decision during interview season. Like I was just tired of spending money. And I was like, okay, if it costs me like admission to a certain school, I must not need to be there because it is what it is. So yeah. I literally had like the worst representation of what like locks can be like going into interview season. They were like baby dreads, like starter lock phase, like take it or leave it. And it went surprisingly well. I think the climate is like really shifted to like welcome it a lot more. But I do have like it in the background, like how I'm viewed. I got a lot of like strikes going on. I got the long hair. I got earrings. I got the Southern accent. I'm dark skinned. I'm loud. I got like it's a lot. It's a lot. It's like,
you actually think about these things.
I think about these things and how when I'm in a clinical setting and making sure that that I'm doing everything that I can to still be like taken serious. So whether it in reality, whether it like actually affects the way that I'm viewed or not, I still maintain like a awareness of it to make sure that I'm presenting myself in a way that still puts families and patients at ease. And I think a step for me was recognizing that even if it is out of like preconceived notions, most of the time the person that has concerns on the same page as you, they want the best care for their like patient, whether it's themselves or their like son or daughter at the time. So I try to like connect with that and meet them at that point if it ever becomes like an issue. Like I got you, like it's cool.
Love it. And then kind of shifting towards the end here, pediatrics. To me, it seems fitting when I talk to you because it seems like you just like to have fun. And that's not necessarily true because your personality is fitting for. You could do that with any field, really. But I was saying when people think about pediatrics, they think about kids and having fun and stuff like that. So, what led to that decision for pediatrics?
It's crazy. I actually got a video about it. My entire like personal statement for pediatrics was about this experience. Like, I had no idea I would be in pediatrics. I came into medical school thinking I was going into either emergency medicine or IM, with the plans of going into critical care fellowship. Like I knew I was the type that liked a lot going on, but I didn't know what way that would like clinically manifest. So in my head, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Cool. Critical care. You couldn't tell me otherwise. EM critical care. And I got to my third year. I got to my family medicine rotation. And I realized like, okay, this is not really quite it, but I knew I enjoyed when the kids came in. I didn't like FM because I feel like I was only doing like physicals. I'm like, okay, maybe primary care is not for me at all. Then I got to my pediatrics rotation and I realized it's not that I don't like physicals. I'm like adult physicals. Like, as long as I was doing physicals with kids, I'm literally doing the exact same thing. But because it's with kids, I'm having the time of my life. I noticed like the second day, like, hold up. My grandma had already told me, because my Christmas break was between family med and peds. She told me before I even started, like, that's going to be the one. Like, okay, you think you don't know. Okay, emergency, whatever. We'll see. And I called her at the end of the first week, like, you called it, like, you got it. And everybody else saw it too. Whenever I told somebody emergency medicine, like, okay, whatever. Like, when I came back and finally, like, saw the light, glory, hallelujah, it's pediatrics, people was looking at me like, like this is news. Like, where's the news? Like, we knew. So it was cool to come to that realization for myself. It was actually a preceptor that told me on my feedback on the end of the first week, she was like, you almost like too good at this. Like, kids seem just like drawn to you. Are you sure you haven't like entertained pediatrics or have you ever worked with kids before? Usually the things that you've done in the past can inform like what specialty you should be going into. And it was literally like in that moment where I had like the life montage of like, oh my God, like literally everything I've ever done that's meant anything, had any kind of fun, any kind of enjoyment to it involved kids. And it should have been very like obvious from day one, but it took somebody like posing the question to me for me to actually realize it. Like Fulbright, teaching, all that type of stuff. Like I've done education related stuff, kid related stuff forever. So it just made sense. It made sense.
You know, every episode is like as I'm listening to my guests, I'm hearing stuff, and I pick up on a theme, and it seems like a strong theme. And your journey has been you've had people around you who know you well enough to give you guidance to see things in you that sometimes you might be overlooking, and highlighting the importance of having the right people around you.
Absolutely. And I think for myself, being, people see like the upbeat, energetic, like comedian on Instagram, but I'm also like a very like introspective and like self-aware type of person, to where I'm always the type that people bring like their like problems to. I'm the mature friend, I'm the counseling friend, but it's always people like this that can never see and counsel themselves. So I think people are always positioned around me to like scream stuff at me when I need it, for me to get it for myself. I will never get it on my own usually. So it's always helpful, and that's why I'm intentional with who I surround myself with as well, for that reason.
I mean, it's exhausting, right? Being social, always being there for other people, gets to be exhausting. So sometimes you need other people there looking out for you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Man, I'm going to drop the student for this part and just say Dr. Norman Harris II.
Hey,
I'll take it. Hey, sure, you there, man? It's only 2 months.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's been a pleasure, man. I appreciate having you on this. Drop your socials again real fast for everybody.
Yeah, so YouTube is all one word, the Chalk Doc. Instagram and TikTok is @_NOIR.MAN. But if you search one word, the Chalk Doc, it should still come up too. So you can search the same thing on all places. I might do a little like handle switch, and then once we get the MD and smack a little doc, something in there, we'll play with it a little bit. I got the power now, so we'll see. Hey,
it's that 3rd degree black belt power, man. I feel you.
Yes, sir.
I feel you. Hey, listeners. Okay, so here, 2 things real fast. Number 1, hit the subscribe button, right? So we're out here, we're trying to get back consistent again. We're trying to grow. We try to be social like the Chalk Doc, man. We try to grow our social presence, right? So go ahead and hit that. Anybody just listen to the podcast, know that we're going to put this on YouTube, so you can watch us on YouTube, right? Subscribe. There's going to be some videos, around here somewhere. Go ahead and click on the next video. Keep on learning. Keep on growing. We got tons of great stories. I want you guys to keep on, just listening, investing, and enjoying the stories, man. We got a lot of great docs out here. So listen to their journeys and how they got to be where they're at. All right. Dr. NH2, Dr. Norman Harris, I'm going to allow you to close this episode down by saying, my name is, you can say student, doctor, or just doctor. You can just drop the student, just say doctor, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. My name is Dr. Norman Harris II, and I'm a black man in a white coat.
Absolutely. My name is Dr. Norman Harris II, and I'm a black man in a white coat.
Really